I would like to welcome our second panel of witnesses in person. Mr. Weber, right? Oh, there you are. Customs and Immigration Union, correct? By video conference, Peel Regional Police, Chief Nick Milanovic, Deputy Police Chief. Toronto Police Services, Chief Robert Johnson, Deputy Chief of Police. So we're going to go right into questioning. Thank you for being here, all of you. Up to 5 minutes will be given to the opening remarks, after which we will proceed with rounds of questions. I now invite Deputy Chief Milanovic to make an opening statement, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you, House Committee members, and thank you for including Peel Regional Police in your study of the growing crisis of auto thefts in Canada. Our police service has been at the forefront of this issue since its onset. But despite these efforts, we continue to have one of the highest per capita rates of stolen vehicles in the country. Last year alone, over 7,000 vehicles were taken from our region. This has become a significant threat to the safety and security of our cities, of our communities here in Peel, the GTA, and on a national and international level. Canada has become a source country for stolen cars. It is among the top 3 revenue generators for organized crime, and it is used to support other criminal enterprises like illegal firearms, human trafficking, and drug trafficking, which once again finds its way back to our communities and victimizes them again. Record numbers of people are waking up, walking out to their driveways to find that their vehicles have been stolen from the driveway. Sometimes, multiple times they're having that experience. Others are walking out to parking lots and seeing that their vehicles have been stolen. And the reality is they are more fortunate than people who are experiencing this by someone bursting down their door in the middle of the night or taking their vehicle with the use of violence and oftentimes armed. Last year, over the course of the last 2 years in Peel alone, there were 185 carjackings in Peel region. Home invasions are now increasing exponentially as well. The solution to this problem extends well beyond enforcement, but I want to make it clear that we aren't absconding from our responsibilities. In Peel, we have more than doubled our commercial auto crimes team. We have one of the largest investigative auto theft teams in the country, and we continue to work with our partners on a number of joint forces operations and lead efforts towards creating multi-sectoral approaches to addressing this issue. It has resulted in increased awareness from the community, changes, as we've heard, in the area of insurance, and really opportunities to advocate for our community at municipal, provincial, and federal levels. But we need to continue to coordinate this action from all of the relevant stakeholders. Many of the recommendations you've heard today, and I've had an opportunity to listen to, begin to address and speak to the variety of opportunities that we need to take advantage of. But that being said, I want to be very specific about what I see as the 2 most obvious and some of the quickest solutions that I think will begin to address the problem we're experiencing. The first is the ports. I have personally visited the ports and was surprised to learn that despite the levels, a number of autos that are being exported out of our country, there were no officers or analysts exclusively assigned to the export or to intercepting the export of stolen cars from our country. We need to resource and equip our ports in a way that is commensurate to the pressure and issues we are experiencing. The second thing I would like to address is a national strategy. This is an appeal issue. It's not a Greater Toronto issue. It is a national issue of auto theft that we are experiencing, and we need a national issue or national strategy to respond to it. My hope, and I understand that public safety is developing an action plan, but my hope is that it will formally elevate auto theft as a national priority and examine opportunities to legislate tougher sanctions, and federal sanctions, which would enhance police abilities to pursue the organized crime groups that are responsible for this. The reality is auto theft is no longer just a property crime, but it's still legislated as though it is, and it shouldn't be treated that way. Additionally, for a review of relevant legislations, which would include things like Customs Act, Export, Import Permits Act, and a variety of other federal legislations. Specifically, again, I believe that a national auto crime strategy that enhances our ability to pursue the organized crime groups who are responsible for this at a national level is required. Again, our police service appreciates the Standing Committee's consideration of our recommendations, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Mr. Milanovic. Now we'll move on to Toronto Police Services Deputy Chief. Mr. Johnson, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the Public Safety and National Security Committee. As we all know, community safety is a shared responsibility. We must work together to combat the organized crime that is impacting our communities. Toronto has experienced a dramatic spike in auto thefts over the last several years, more than anywhere else in Canada. In 2023, there were more than 12,000 vehicles stolen in Toronto alone. Vehicle theft is an epidemic in this country. 12,000 cars amounts to approximately $790 million, and that is the value of the vehicles stolen in Toronto alone this past year. That's about 34 vehicles stolen every day. That's one every 40 minutes. Just last month, a mother with 2 children in car seats had her vehicle stolen in a grocery store parking lot. 2 young offenders drove these children around for 15 minutes. They're safe now, but this terrorizing criminal activity has to stop. That leaves people feeling anxious and afraid and victimized while organized criminals get rich. Since 2018, Toronto Police has recovered over 46% of stolen vehicles, totaling more than 20,000 vehicles, and we've arrested over 1,300 offenders and laid over 5,000 related charges. We know that like other crimes led by organized crime networks, they do not care about borders or jurisdiction. A violent carjacking in Toronto can end up with an arrest in Hamilton. We know these stolen vehicles often wind up leaving Toronto, ending up sold around the world by organized crime groups. Stealing cars is lucrative. It's quick money with endless demand. With little skill and few consequences, they can steal a vehicle and get cash fast. What we all need to be talking about is the escalation of violence, threats, and intimidation, where all sorts of weapons and firearms are being used to steal vehicles. I'm also concerned about the ability of the justice system to deal with repeat offenders. Whether it is carjacking or break-and-enter or home invasion, criminals are getting far too brazen in their methods to steal vehicles and causing residents across Toronto an incredible amount of fear and anxiety. Realtors tell us that the demand for homes with garages is rising because of this. In Toronto, home invasions, break-and-enters, and auto theft occurrences rose by over 400% in 2023, with a total of 202 incidences. Carjackings have also seen a dramatic rise in Toronto, with 233 occurrences reported in 2023. That's over 50% of all incidences reported in the GTA. Alone, since the beginning of this year, we've had 17 home invasions. That's double what we had last year at this time, and over 32 carjacking occurrences, which again is double what we had year to date this time last year. This is why we are part of the Provincial Carjacking Task Force with the support of the Government of Ontario and co-led by the Toronto Police and the Ontario Provincial Police. The task force is an excellent example of how working together with other law enforcement agencies and government agencies help us in these complex investigations to disrupt this criminal element. I believe we need a national strategy to have real impact on the rising number of auto thefts and the increasing violence. But this is not just a law enforcement problem. We need to collaborate with all levels of government along with our partners in private industry. Vehicle manufacturers, port authorities, and shipping companies need to work with us to make it harder to steal and transport vehicles. We need to work in a coordinated manner to fight organized crime, stop the violence, and keeping our communities safe. We welcome all efforts by manufacturers to better protect vehicles from being stolen and to timely support our investigators so we can catch offenders and return vehicles to their owners. Police can make the arrests we can provide safety tips, but we need others to do their part also. Now is the time to be bold in developing partnerships with manufacturers, engineering experts, and others to harness rapidly developing technology that lies at the heart of the solution. Making vehicles harder to steal and making ports more secure from exploitation will help us reduce these growing numbers of carjackings. The federal government is already playing an important role in bringing law enforcement and private sector coming together, as we saw at the federal summit hosted in Ottawa about 3 weeks ago. I also believe we need to be bold on justice reforms and work across all sectors to tackle repeat offenders and return a sense of safety to our communities. Thank you for this opportunity to speak here today, and I look forward to working collaboratively with all of you to keep our community safe.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.